8:32, New York City Mayor Eric Adams traveling to Chicago today to attend the Democratic National Convention, where he'll also meet with national leaders to discuss the ongoing migrant crisis. Adams wants to change New York sanctuary city laws in the wake of recent violent crimes involving asylum seekers. Joining us this morning to discuss what these changes would look like is the New York City Field Director for Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, right, Ken Gianello. So great to have you here.
Thank you, Dan. Appreciate being back on.
Let's talk about this. 2 asylum seekers currently in custody for allegedly raping a woman last week in Coney Island. We've also seen this series of robberies, what the NYC is describing as migrant-driven robberies in the area of Central Park, right? What comes next now? Is ICE able to get involved with detaining some of these folks who are bad apples, as they call them,
right,
and deport them?
Well, my staff is out every day. We're out in the public, in the community, trying to remove these public safety threats from our communities. The issue, obviously, that we face is we need the cooperation and collaboration with our law enforcement partners here in the city, specifically NYPD. The sanctuary policies won't allow them to cooperate, but lately you've seen the mayor, you've seen NYPD, the chief of patrol, speak out stating that they need to cooperate with us, and 100% I'm all on board. This cooperation needs to be there because we have the same overarching priorities, and that's to keep the residents and the migrants and the citizens of New York City safe.
So cooperation looks like what, right? So the obviously sanctuary city laws prevent the NYPD from picking up the phone and saying so-and-so is a migrant, just committed a crime, to your office. So what does the cooperation look like?
Okay, basically, I mean, obviously before the strict sanctuary policies went in effect under the de Blasio administration, we had a unit that was based in Rikers Island that would vet foreign-born individuals once they finished with their time, and they determined whether or not they were amenable to proceedings. We would have detainers honored on individuals that were serving time. When they were finished with their sentence or their local charges, they would be released into ICE ERO custody. And just basic cooperation, we would be on task force, we would speak to one another.
Right.
Now, none of that exists anymore.
Okay, so help me break this down, right? Can you deport criminals being held on immigration detainers?
A detainer is lodged once they're in local custody. So once they're finished with their local custody, whatever their custody is, it could be a sentence, they could be released on bail or bond, they'll come over to our custody and we'll start the removal process at that time.
Okay. We've been seeing the migrant encampments pop up all over the city, right? Especially on Randall's Island, where there has been some reported violence. Does ICE have a presence there? Can you have a presence there?
Unfortunately, at the city shelters and these pop-up tent areas, in order for ICE to be present there, the city would require us to have a judicial warrant for the arrest of a certain individual. And this goes back to the semantics that I've previously spoken about this judicial warrant that now the city council, the head was talking about, that all we have to do is get a judicial warrant. For administrative cases, there's civil immigration enforcement cases, there are no judicial warrants. We're authorized by Congress under 8 CFR 287.5 for our managers to issue these administrative warrants. And they go along with the detainers side by side to state once they're done, please turn the individuals back over to us.
Okay, so there's so much legal jargon and words, right? But what the audience and what a New Yorker might say is, why can't we just take the bad one and get them out of here, right? So when you look, I know you can't because of the sanctuary city laws. Have you been able to, or is there a number of some migrants that have been here who have committed crimes that you were able to remove?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like I said, I don't have the exact number, but the men and women of ERO New York, they're out every day making these arrests on individuals that have committed some heinous crimes or have some serious derogatory information in the background. And I've always said, we should be arm in arm, hand in hand with NYPD because these sanctuary policies, if you look actually even in Maryland, in the counties of Baltimore and Montgomery, they had similar sanctuary policies, and they decided to change them to work with ICRO in these counties, which is now making their counties safer.
Right, and some might say that the sanctuary laws came because of what happened in years past, where there were folks who came here looking for a better life, were not committing crimes, and were removed, right? So say the Common Sense Caucus of the City Council, which is promoting changes to sanctuary city laws, say they get their way, and you can get involved. You're not, can you clarify and explain, you're not removing everybody?
Correct. So obviously we have limited resources my unit, my staff, my office, we focus on the worst of the worst. So we're out there, targeting, I'd say 99% of the time, criminal individuals. And then once they come into custody, we place them in removal proceedings. When you're talking about these individuals that might not have been criminal in nature, those are the ones that have gone through the process, have seen an immigration judge, they lost their case, and they were issued a warrant of removal. So at that time, they have a warrant for removal from the United States.
Right, but ICE has a negative connotation for sweeping raids of going into places like, say, it was a migrant hotel, right? And it happened on Long Island, where some folks were removed and were just looking for a better life. And so that's where ICE gets the bad name, right?
Well, the problem is that's a false narrative. And we don't do raids, we don't do sweeps. Everything we do is what we call targeted enforcement. We know exactly who we're looking for when we're out in the street, and that's the individual that we're arresting. So these narratives about us doing raids, going into hotels, is the farthest from the truth.
So next steps, right? Have you testified before the city council, spoken to the mayor or his team about possible changes to some of these laws to get involved? Well,
I've had dialogue with the mayor's office. Obviously, I want to continue doing that. The city council, I'm open to speak to anyone about this issue. And, the city council is the one that technically owns these sanctuary policies right now. And one of the things I want to bring up is, where are the women's rights activists and groups when you have a lot of these crimes being committed against migrants, but not only migrants, females, whether it's sexual in nature or domestic abuse? How can they not have a voice and say, why are they being released back into the community to reoffend the same victims? So it's something that I'm curious about with these women rights activists and groups, that why are they not speaking out about the violence against the women? And most of them are the most vulnerable, or the migrants. I mean, it's something that needs to be spoken about. And we don't have to change the whole sanctuary policy. Let's change something where we can agree to work on the worst of the worst cases that need to be turned over to ICE.
Keep us posted on the conversation. Appreciate you always coming back. But it's a big issue for New Yorkers, so we'll keep the dialogue and conversation going with you. But great to have you here, Ken.
Thanks. I appreciate that.